Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming to our talk today about rebuilding security culture with security champions. I'm Anne-Marie Fred, a senior principal software engineer at Red Hat.
And I'm Siddharth Pareek, senior vice president consulting for NatWest Group.
A little bit about ourselves. I have more than 20 years of software development experience, of which more than 10 years were in the DevOps area. I was a DevOps Days Raleigh conference co-organizer for 3 years, and I'm also active in the Linux Foundation and CD Foundation open source projects. I was an HR manager for 3 years, and for the last 4 years, I've been acting as a security focal. Most of my career was spent at IBM, but the last 9 months I've been at Red Hat.
I am part of the DevOps Center of Excellence practice for the NatWest Group. What I'm doing in NatWest Group is driving chaos engineering, security champions, and most importantly, cultural transformation track for the organizations. I'm also part of the governing board for Atlas, an open source project, co-authored book on site reliability engineering, and published white paper on digital skills. I'm also on board of expert panel for Cloud Credential Council, global ambassador for DevOps Institute, on the influencer panel for DASA, which is DevOps Agile and Skill Association, and community manager for Atlassian NatWest Group and a regional chapter.
A quick disclaimer, these are our personal experiences and not the official position of IBM, Red Hat, or NatWest Group. According to former FBI Director Robert Mueller, there are only two types of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be. In fact, in the 2020 Sonatype DevSecOps Community Survey, 24% of the organizations they surveyed either suspected or had verified a security breach within the past 12 months. And most of those breaches target data that the company owns. The cost of a data breach can be astronomical. GDPR and other privacy regulations hold companies liable for security breaches, and ignorance of the problem is not a defense from the liability. This can cause major damage to a company's reputation. If you think about famous breaches at places like Facebook, Equifax, LinkedIn, Anthem, and so on. In fact, according to IBM's 2021 Cost of a Data Breach report, last year, the average cost of a data breach was $4.24 million. And according to Derek Weeks, the time between a vulnerability being announced and the exploits appearing in the wild used to be 45 days. That is compressed by 93% over the last decade to 3 days. So how do we keep up with this? Well, it's a race, and the only way we can be fast enough is with continuous security practices. Unfortunately, according to Toby Irvine's research, for every 100 developers across the industry, on average, there's only one security professional. And because of these scarce resources, security is often neglected in transformations. Security is treated as a last-minute gate. Say a month or two before shipping a product, the teams will do a threat model and a manual penetration test, fix as many vulnerabilities as they can, but because there's a fixed end date, eventually they just ship it.
Security experts report about 18,000 vulnerabilities caught so far. Moreover, in 2021 was marked with a significant increase in reported 0 days. So at least 66 0 days issues have been publicly revealed this year, doubling the total number of those identified in 2020. So the question is, how can we reduce our cycle time, right from identifying vulnerabilities to stop them from being exploited within a duration of 3 days? Let's hear.
In order to move faster while being more secure, we have to up our game. And to do this, our technology teams need to become more self-sufficient with respect to cybersecurity. We need to scale up the number of application security subject matter experts from that 1% to more like 10% of our technical population. And these will be the people who have the background information that they need to be able to dig into the details of security tool findings, penetration tests, and hacking reports. So specifically, what motivated us to make a change here? At IBM Digital, we had done some internal DevOps surveys in 2019, and it identified security work as one of the top 3 pain points of our developers. At Red Hat, a lot of this is coming along because we're restructuring our entire product security programs, and that's largely in response to the May 2021 executive order on improving the nation's cybersecurity. Red Hat software is an important part of the supply chain of many other companies, and so we need to make sure that our security practices are state of the art. And I know at NatWest Group, this came about largely because of responding to the Log4j and Log4Shell vulnerability in 2021.
Yeah, so interesting story from the NatWest Group and a little critical in the context of this theme of security champions. So a bit of background, NatWest Group, like any other financial institutions and technology organizations, use different versions of Log4j and Java libraries. So the first challenge was we were using it very actively, directly, but were also being consumed indirectly through the tools, through the coding frameworks, which were in turn calling back Log4j. And in the worst part, it was not even known whether we are being using the Log4j or not. So that compounded the issue across the industry and financial. The second challenge of the global financial industry like ours is the way we are